If you look deep into the history of Slavic art, you will find many different variables of a key figure in Russia's folklore. In these paintings, you will see depictions of an ugly witch with a long, sharp nose, commonly described as a tall, scrawny old woman, with some accounts of the myth stating that she has a very bony leg. There have been some that claim that her bony leg is literally a skeleton leg. Her hair, just like her ragged clothes, is often unkempt, while her nose is said to be large and distorted. In some stories, it is said that when she lies down on the floor of her hut, her nose literally touches the ceiling. Some folklore stories claim that her long nose allows her to identify the people by scent. With a set of teeth that is long and believed to be made of iron. This feature of hers allows her to crash the bones of her victims with her bare teeth. Every single body part, including her eyes, ears, feet, hands, and mouth, are grotesque and deformed. Known by many to be a hideous-looking ogress with supernatural abilities who lives in a very dense forest. She is either seen as an evil witch who kidnaps and eats her victims, mostly children, or a wise old woman who helps people become better versions of themselves. With a demeanor that is powerful and highly tempestuous, she instills fear and guarded respect in everyone that encounters her. This hunchback witch was known as Baba Yaga, an old lady or witch who rides around by using her mortar-like contraption to propel herself away with one of her hands while holding her broom, as she leaves behind no trace of where she went. Still, the crone's name does serve as a warning of sorts. In Old Russian, Baba meant a sorceress or someone who could tell the future. Midwives were also called Baba. Today, the word usually refers to a grandmother. Yaga has more mysterious origins. Some claim that it means witch or evil woman, and others liken it to the word for snake. The story of Baba Yaga was first recorded in writing in 1755, though legends about her appeared far earlier and can be evidenced in artworks from at least the 17th century. Baba Yaga has appeared in hundreds, if not thousands, of folktales in Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus since the 18th century, if not earlier. Modern-day interpretations, such as Into the Forest, Tales of Baba Yaga, have emphasized her role as possible proto-feminist icon. And according to legends dating back to at least the mid-18th century, her izba, or hut, where Baba Yaga lived, was famous for being very unique. She lives in a wooden hut with giant chicken legs that supported it, and in some tales, a chicken head. In some cases, the support beams are goat legs or ram horns. This allows her to uproot the house and move wherever or whenever needed. That being said, it can move anywhere to make it more difficult for anyone who wants to find Baba Yaga's house. When the house moves, it will spin and make a shrill sound. The windows in her house function like eyes to watch around. The door in the house is equipped with a key like a mouth because it has sharp teeth. To be able to enter the unique wooden cabin, Baba Yaga will enter through the chimney. There are several sources that say that the house actually doesn't have a door. If you want the door to be seen, then say the magic mantra. Turn your back into the forest and front to me. Baba Yaga's wooden hut is believed to be as hideous-looking as the old witch herself. However, there have been some portrayals of her residing in a very magnificent mansion. Irrespective of a hut or a mansion, Baba Yaga's home is often not ordinary, so to speak. Placed firmly around Baba Yaga's house is a fence made from human bones and skulls. The gate of the fence is made from men's legs, while the bolts are made from human arms, and the lock on the fence of the gate is made from the teeth of a human jaw. The skulls on top of the fence are placed there to warn off anyone who tries to trespass. To make matters worse, the house has no windows. This depiction of Baba Yaga's home reinforces the notion of her being a cannibal in the folklore. Like many other legendary witches, Baba Yaga enjoys roasting and eating her victims in her house, where she keeps an enormous oven. Many people say if anyone managed to get into the house, then their fate depends on them. Maybe you can't go out again. Isn't that terrible? Bear in mind, this old witch doesn't only eat children. She is known in the folklore to eat strangers that get lost in the forest and then wander into her lair. Her hut is a place of bewilderment and enchantment, its walls adorned with strange symbols and charms that guard the secrets within. As ambiguous as she is hideous, Baba Yaga is an anomaly. In Slavic folklore, Baba Yaga is both a maternal Mother Nature figure and an evil villain who kidnaps and eats children. Numerous renditions of her tale portray her as a harbinger of transformation, possessing the power to either assist or obstruct those that she chances upon, and eating those who fail to satisfy her demands. The legend of Baba Yaga probably arose when the religions of Europe contained a pantheon of gods and creatures, both of which controlled the forces of nature and the destiny of man. No one knows for sure when or where her story originated, however. It appears that she has been a part of oral tradition in northeastern Europe and Russia for millennia. Baba Yaga is a fearsome Slavic monster who sometimes bears the title of Wild Witch of the Woods. Folklorists and scholars have stated that the character Baba Yaga goes all the way back as far as the medieval era. This explains why it isn't hard to come by Baba Yaga stories. There are several thousands of them in Slavic folklore and the neighboring folklore in the region. As a result, she ranks up there as one of the most known characters in Slavic folklore. It's been stated that the very first known documentation of Baba Yaga's story was in woodlock prints, which dates back to the 17th century. It is widely held that Vasilis's 1780 collection, Russian Fairy Tales, contains the very first narrative account of this character from Slavic folklore. In the collection, the author portrays her in the same light as in oral traditions. Baba Yaga remained largely a Russian and Slavic infamous character. However, beginning around the 19th century, the character started to gain some international prominence as stories of her came to be read in other parts of Europe and beyond. Her spread beyond Russia and Slavic communities was buoyed on by the translations of Alexander Afanasyev's Russian folktales. Baba Yaga's character is quite a complex one, with her being described as a paradox at best. In some stories, she offers help and advice to young people, and in other stories, she is said to severely punish bad people. She is often said to test the protagonist in order to bring out the best in them. Other authors also confirm the many-faceted nature of Baba Yaga, as she can be in one instance a child-eating monster, and in another instance a helpful, kind old woman who dishes out a very good advice and even gifts. Therefore, Baba Yaga could be a wide range of things in the folklore, ranging from a wise old grandmother to a bone breaker, or a helper to an evil witch. And in some tales, she's all of those things. As a symbol, Baba Yaga can be interpreted as a representation of the archetypical Earth Mother, albeit in her darkest aspect. Baba Yaga is closely associated with the elements and the cycles of nature. Her command over the elements and her deep knowledge of magical potions and spells link her to the archetype of the wise woman or witch as a keeper of ancient wisdom and natural law. In In some of the tales which were collected in the 19th century by Russian folklorist Alexander Afanasiev, Baba Yaga dies in the end. However, she rises. Many believe that she might be immortal. Similarly, it's been said that she is the companion of death on his numerous travels. If you satisfy all my wishes, I shall reward you, the grandmother declares, according to folk tales from the Russian. If not, I shall eat you up. Indeed, Baba Yaga's story has echoes of Hansel and Gretel with a Slavic twist. But some think that this character is even scarier than the villain from Grimm's fairy tales. However, others claim that this legendary witch is more complex, especially since she's been featured in numerous different stories in different ways. This is her terrifying and thought-provoking history. The witch is also said to wield magical power. She commands a flock of black geese to search the woods for children. Boys and girls who ignore their mother's warnings while wandering too far into the forest might find themselves snatched up by the geese and carried back to the witch's oven. There is no question that Baba Yaga is a fearsome figure in Slavic folklore, but she also sometimes acts as a fairy godmother with a dash of evil. In some stories, she helps the hero. Though she is still portrayed as a crone, she shows flashes of maternal instinct. Sometimes she's even likened to Mother Nature, a powerful force that can seem harsh and capricious. And according to the World History Encyclopedia, Baba Yaga shares several characteristics with an early Slavic goddess of death. Called Ayagaya Baba, the underworld goddess sat atop an iron mortar and carried a pestle made from the same material. Some Slavs dedicated blood sacrifices to the goddess, and because of this, many people believe that Baba Yaga has evil origins. One tale even claims that the devil boiled 12 evil women in a cauldron to create an essence of evil. After the devil spat in the cauldron, Baba Yaga burst out. But others argue that her positive portrayal in some stories, especially where she helps young visitors, is a sign that there is some good in her. It is the characterization of Baba Yaga that contributes to much of her ambiguity surrounding her, as she oscillates between assuming the role of a benefactor and a villain, either aiding or obstructing the heroes of Slavic folklore. While it seems that Baba Yaga never initiates any confrontations, as she only reacts when someone ventures to her hut, her moral compass appears to be all but absent. Yet, regardless of her questionable ethics, she remains true to her word and keeps whatever promise that she makes to the hero who triumphantly completes her assigned task. The eerie and unpredictable nature of Baba Yaga only adds to the gripping mystery of her character, making her encounters with Slavic heroes all the more thrilling and unpredictable. In one of the most popular Baba Yaga stories, known as Vasilisa the Beautiful, Vasilisa is a Cinderella-type character with a magic doll, whose mother died and father remarried, a horrible woman with equally unkind daughters. When Vasilisa's father goes away for a trip, the new stepmother sells their house and moves her and the three girls to a cottage in the woods, giving the daughter impossible tasks to complete by candlelight. With the aid of her magical doll, Vasilisa triumphantly completes all the challenges and is rewarded with a fire ensconced in a school lantern, which promptly incinerates her vile stepsisters upon her return home. Vasilisa's story ultimately concludes when the Tsar of Russia, or the king, depending on which version of the story is told, falls deeply in love with her, providing a classic, happily ever ending. It is, however, the enigmatic role of Baba Yaga in the tale that truly captivates the imagination. Within Vasilisa the Beautiful, Baba Yaga embodies both an obstacle and a savior for Vasilisa. Without the lantern, she would have remained trapped in the clutches of her malevolent stepfamily. However, Baba Yaga's gruesome methods of liberating Vasilisa underscore her amorality and hazardous nature. Unlike the benevolent fairy godmother from the original Cinderella story, Baba Yaga evokes the wicked stepmother who allows her daughter to mutilate her own foot to fit the glass slipper. Baba Yaga goes to extraordinary lengths to free Vasilisa, exacting 3 agonizing deaths and causing her much distress before finally permitting her to leave the hut. Her actions surpass the mere task of helping Vasilisa escape her oppressive family, leaving a chilling impression of Baba Yaga's true motives and character. Another fable featuring Baba Yaga involves 2 hapless peasant children who are victimized by a tyrannical stepmother. In this narrative, the wicked stepmother sends the children to Baba Yaga's abode, hoping to be rid of them for good. The resourceful youngsters are aided in their escape by the animals and plants and objects that Baba Yaga has neglected. A black cat helps them plan their escape, as they had been feeding him while Baba Yaga had not. A gate shuts Baba Yaga out because she had neglected it. Even the forest trees obstruct her path because of her similar mistreatment. The children successfully return home unscathed, and Baba Yaga abandons her pursuit when it becomes too difficult. Again, this tale ends happily, with the father banishing the cruel stepmother and protecting his children. Amen. This illustrates a paradoxical aspect of Baba Yaga's character, as she is often regarded as deity who embodies the power and unpredictability of Mother Nature. Despite being considered a deity akin to Mother Nature, the natural world still turns against her due to the pain that she has inflicted upon it. This is one of the reasons why scholars find it challenging to categorize her, as she falls into many different roles and demonstrates contradictory traits. Her ambiguous nature leaves readers wondering whether she will act as a malevolent force or a benevolent savior in the various tales in which she appears. Despite the trickster's negative portrayal in some religious doctrines, the deity is often recognized as a disruptive part of society that exposes shortcomings and encourages change. The trickster was believed to be divine or an emanation from a high-ranking god who interfered in other deities' lives and even humans, thanks to whatever reason or no reason at all. This event led to new levels of awareness for oneself and the world, most often with extreme highs and lows. It is not always the case that Baba Yaga is depicted as a hideous old evil witch. She sometimes comforts, gives advice to the protagonist in the story. As a goddess, she has been associated with some ancient Slavic deities. It is believed she is actually a goddess, as she possesses supernatural powers, magical charms, and the power over life and death. Associated with dark forces and eating human flesh, Baba Yaga has massive powers over a number of things, including the weather, time, life, death. In many of the folklore stories, Baba Yaga's presence is foreshadowed with whistling winds and howling trees. Another very famous possession of Baba Yaga is her enchanted mirrors that are believed to turn into lakes of water. The comb that she uses is also believed to turn into forest. She also could turn her handkerchief or scarf into rivers. An alternative to her flying mortar is the flying carpet that she uses to great and terrifying efficiency. The old witch in Slavic folklore also has fire-breathing horses in the stable of her house. Baba Yaga, when inside, has the ability to stretch herself from one corner of the hut to the other. She's also been known as the guardian of the fountains of the water of life. During the heydays of the Soviet Union, Baba Yaga stories were used as a form of socialist propaganda, as traits such as problem-solving, hard work, and courage featured prominently in the themes of Baba Yaga stories. In old Slavic communities, it is likely that the tales of Baba Yaga featured often whenever folk tales are told during feasts, dinners, weddings. It can be inferred from her traits and character that the Greek goddess Hecate would most likely be Baba Yaga's equivalent. Like Baba Yaga, Hecate is associated with a wide range of things, including witchcraft, sorcery, magic, knowledge of herbs, necromancy, and among many others. Between the late 17th and early 18th century in Russia, Baba Yaga and her tales featured on a number of levki, a popular print that comes in simple graphics with their narratives derived from popular tales and religious stories and literature. In one Lubbock, Baba Yaga is shown dancing with a bald man playing the bagpipe. Some authors have stated that the authors of the Lubbock were trying to depict Peter the Great of Russia and his wife Catherine the First. In modern times, Baba Yaga stories have appeared in quite a number of popular culture, including films, video games, television shows, among others. For example, she is featured in the Hellboy comics. For many, she is an elemental goddess and the link between life and death. Despite her association with a lot of contradicting things, the truth is, Baba Yaga has a far richer and deeper history than many of us even realize. From well-known interpretations of her story to seemingly forgotten but crucial pieces of her identity, here is the compendious story of one of the most popular figures in Slavic folklore. Again, just like Mother Nature and her tendency to wash us all away in an instant if we fail to complete our basic task to her. So when did the lore of Baba Yaga start getting altered? Well, that began when Slavic countries adopted Christianity. We know that folklore normally stems from pagan tradition. Most, if not all, of our ancient tales aren't real, or at the very least remain disputable in their own terms. In spite of that, when Christianity became an official religion to some Slavic nations such as Russia, this too much paganism still had to go. The natural threat of Baba Yaga we are all too familiar with today is due to how the clergy portrayed her in order to suppress pagan Slavic values. But since the lore remained popular despite Christians' effort to trace her as a scary figure, Baba Yaga now has both attributes, the good and the bad. Those that label her the child-devouring crone of the forest, and those that make her the beloved symbol of earth itself. Baba Yaga is known for her mastery of ancient and arcane magic, wielding powers that can bend reality and defy the laws of nature. She can brew potent potions, cast spells, summon spirits, harnessing the forces of nature to serve her will. In her domain, Baba Yaga commands the elements and possesses an intimate connection with the natural world. She can control the winds and summon storms and communicate with animals, bending them to her whims with a mere whisper. Baba Yaga possesses the ability to shape-shift, assume various forms to deceive or intimidate those who cross her path. She can transform into a beautiful maiden or a ferocious beast, playing with the perceptions and fears of mortals. She presents heroes with riddles and tasks and impossible challenges, pushing them to their limits in their quest for self-discovery and growth. Within the layers of Baba Yaga's myth, she embodies the archetype of the wise crone, the keeper of ancient wisdom and hidden knowledge. She is a source of guidance and enlightenment for those who approach her with humility and sincerity, offering profound insights into the mysteries of life. Baba Yaga appears as a central character in countless folktales, fairy tales, each narrative adding depth and nuance to her character. These stories explore her interactions with heroes, maidens, and other supernatural beings, weaving tales of danger, transformation, and self-discovery. Themes of bravery, resourcefulness, and the triumph of the human spirit often emerge in Baba Yaga tales. Heroes must navigate her treacherous tests, relying on their wits and courage to overcome obstacles and ultimately emerge transformed, carrying newfound wisdom and insight. Baba Yaga's enduring presence in folklore has permeated popular culture and inspired numerous literary adaptations. Her character has found its way into novels, poems, plays, captivating audience with her enigmatic nature and providing fertile ground for artistic exploration. Baba Yaga can be a harbinger of misfortune or a guide on the path to enlightenment, embodying the delicate balance between light and dark. Baba Yaga's character has been interpreted as a projection of human fears and desires, reflecting the innermost struggles and aspirations of individuals. In many ways, Baba Yaga has represented the exact opposite of society's ideal women for centuries, and she still does this to this day. The stories and tales surrounding Baba Yaga serve as cautionary tales, teaching important life lessons and moral values. She is a symbol of wisdom, challenging those who dare to seek her out to prove their worthiness and learn from their encounters with her. Her presence in folklore reminds us of the importance of bravery, resourcefulness, resilience in the face of adversity. As Baba Yaga remains an influential figure in literature, art, popular culture, her legend continues to evolve and adapt to suit contemporary storytelling. Baba Yaga hunting for human flesh is said maybe to scare off children, but her real meaning is deeper. She stands with her one leg in the world of the living, with her other withered leg in the world of the dead. She is a guide to the realm of the dead. If you need to go there, she will prepare you and give you directions. Her hut is kind of like a portal between worlds. From books to movies, her character has been reimagined and reinterpreted, keeping her alive in the imaginations of new generations. Ultimately, the enduring allure and mystery of Baba Yaga lie in the power of storytelling itself. The moral of her story seems to be that anyone who possesses a loving and honorable heart can overcome even the worst evil. And surely any story that can teach that to our children should endure. Thank you guys for watching this episode of Baba Yaga. Go and do your own research. Like I always say, leave me some comments. Guys, I love my comments. You know that. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. Go and read some of the Baba Yaga folklore and legends and stories. Go and read them. There's some really good ones. So hope to see you guys next time on Tales Told in the Dark.